Imagine you're strolling through a bustling marketplace at the start of 2025, where every stall offers something too good to pass up. The air is warm, the noise is electric, and each new sight tempts you to linger just a little longer. Suddenly, a familiar buzz ripples through the crowd, talk of tariffs. At first, you might scoff and think, oh boy, that again? But then something about this new conversation crackles with possibility. You pause amid the swirl of bright banners and enthusiastic vendors, realizing that tariffs aren't just dusty policy tools, they're something that might just spark opportunity. Today, the rumor is that they've been unleashed once again, and the question on everyone's lips is, when are tariffs actually a good idea, especially in a year like 2025? Without warning, you feel an unexpected jolt, like riding a roller coaster you never knew you boarded. One moment you're all excitement about protecting local businesses, the next you're bracing for what some call the dreaded trade war. Yet there's a sense of adventure that tugs you forward. You overhear people saying that Donald Trump reintroduced this concept into the public sphere some years ago, and the echoes are still being felt. It's the start of a curious journey where you're half certain you're about to witness a breakthrough and half terrified you're speeding toward an economic cliff. But that's the lure, isn't it? The combined rush of hope and anxiety that grips you as soon as you realize that an entire nation's fate can swing on a single import tax. Or maybe it's the sense of stepping into a grand drama where each storyline, jobs, industries, national security has the potential to become a showstopper. Welcome to this conversation where the script is still being written, but the stage lights are definitely on. Stick around, because by the end, you might just find yourself seeing tariffs in a whole new light. Lately, people have been recalling how Donald Trump championed tariffs in the past, citing them as a path to protect jobs, secure industries, and, his words, protect the soul of the country. Fast forward to 2025, and we see that the world has shifted in ways we never quite predicted. New technologies have blurred geographic boundaries. Supply chains have become labyrinths stretching across multiple continents. Global events have exposed weaknesses in how we source essential products, reminding us that having control over critical goods might be more important than ever. But is it enough to swing that big tariff hammer at everything? That's what you're asking yourself while watching the daily headlines. Whispers of success mingle with warnings of chaos. Some say tariffs are the ultimate lever to bring wealth back home. Others warn that such measures could create more problems than they solve, from scaring off trading partners to triggering price hikes that pinch the average consumer's wallet. And you, caught between these two forces, start to wonder if the real problem is not the tariff itself, but how it's used. You recall how a few years back, entire industries scrambled to adjust to abrupt policy changes, and the memory stings. Yet, there's also a new wave of optimism swirling around. Maybe, if done right, tariffs could actually protect vital domestic interests without toppling the entire house of cards. That tension between possibility and peril keeps you on the edge of your seat. But let's be honest, tariffs can spark a rush of raw emotion in people. Some lean in eagerly, cheering for the promise of revitalized steel mills, robust factories, and stable hometowns. Others recoil, bracing for supply chain disruptions and sudden price surges that could trickle down to the weekly grocery bill. And it's not just a debate among politicos in fancy suits. It's the working mom worried about ballooning food prices. It's the small business owner wondering if they'll still have access to essential materials. It's the local farmer asking if new taxes might help or hurt their bottom line. You can almost feel that collective heart racing as each new tariff rumor flares across social media, fueling both dreams of economic independence and nightmares of trade retaliation. In the swirl of talk, a mesmerizing tug-of-war emerges. Proponents argue that there really are moments when tariffs shine, particularly when foreign competitors flood markets with subsidized or unfairly cheap products, pushing domestic producers to the brink. On the flip side, skeptics warn about the external backlash, retaliatory tariffs, damaged alliances, and a climate of uncertainty that rattles investors. The result is a seesaw that can swing from "we're saving jobs" to "we're on the brink of trade war" within the same hour. That emotional whiplash becomes part of the theater, and here we are, front-row spectators to the big show. It's exhilarating, nerve-wracking, and weirdly captivating all at once. By 2025, some economists point to numbers indicating that nearly half of all U.S. imports could be subject to new tariff structures if the policy wave continues. Such a colossal shift carries a certain shock value. Many industries that rely on international parts and materials feel an immediate jolt. Some financial analysts quietly downgrade their growth forecasts, projecting that U.S. GDP might slow if tariffs are too broad and too aggressive. Those behind the numbers fret that a sluggish economy could dovetail with higher inflation, giving consumers a double punch, fewer job prospects, and pricier everyday goods. But ironically, even amid these grim predictions, there's a thread of optimism. A few experts see tariffs as a vital means to address pressing national security concerns, ensuring that crucial items like specific medical supplies or strategic technologies remain readily available at home. Others note that tariffs can be strategically targeted, helping prevent monopolies in industries that are cornerstones of national interest. And for a moment, you find yourself caught between the gloom of potential recession and the spark of potential renaissance. It's like staring at two roads. One leads to the spiking costs of your favorite gadgets, the other leads to a homeland that's more self-reliant and capable of withstanding global upheavals. The fork in the road is stark and the stakes feel sky-high. This is where a little historical perspective can come in handy. Tariffs aren't new, and they've often been used to stabilize shaky markets or protect industries crucial to a nation's well-being. During certain past crises, targeted tariffs curbed the dumping of overly subsidized goods. Doing so offered local businesses a chance to breathe and regrow, which in turn safeguarded domestic jobs. Sounds pretty good, right? But there's always a catch. Slapping tariffs on everything under the sun can spark fierce retaliation. Trading partners might slam the door on your exports, throwing entire sectors of your economy into disarray. The lesson then is not that tariffs are outright villains or heroes, they're complicated tools that need deliberate precision. In 2025, we stand at a crossroads where global supply chains have never been more expansive, nor have they ever felt so vulnerable. We also carry the lessons of a pandemic that taught us the importance of domestic production for critical items. Remember how everyone scrambled for essential goods? Tariffs could be the safety net if used judiciously, ensuring key resources are always within reach. But you can almost hear the alarm bells if policies turn sweeping and uncalculated, leaving everyday people to shoulder the burden of higher prices. And that's the tension that refuses to let us sleep easy. The real twist, though, is the way Donald Trump's earlier policies paved the way for bigger, bolder, and riskier tariff proposals. He turned them into a kind of spotlight, revealing both their power and their limitations. In the years since, the dialogue has softened in some areas, people acknowledging that tariffs can be beneficial if tightly controlled. Others, however, have doubled down, arguing that we should hit the global market hard and fast, hoping to gain leverage in trade negotiations. And in a sense, that reveals another layer. Are tariffs just about goods crossing borders, or have they become a symbol of national pride, a rallying cry for economic patriotism? Some voices suggest that tariffs give a nation a fighting stance, a protective shield against economic adversaries. And perhaps that's where this subject gains its biggest emotional weight. No one wants to be left vulnerable or reliant on unpredictable global suppliers. No one wants to watch local factories shutter while foreign corporations rake in profits. So the conversation about tariffs morphs into something deeply personal about identity, sovereignty, and shared future. At the same time, the risk of overusing them or wielding them too broadly is ever-present, like a sword that cuts both ways. Dig a little deeper and you'll realize that the drama isn't just about economics, it's about narrative. The story we tell ourselves about why tariffs might be needed can fuel a sense of unity or sow division. Some claim that clamping down on imports can reignite manufacturing towns left behind by the march of globalization. They visualize a revival, newly opened plants, bustling docks, and a robust labor force that's proud of its made-at-home legacy. Others argue that in a 21st-century digital economy, especially here in 2025, closing borders too tightly on physical goods might stifle the very innovation we need to stay competitive. They say, open the gates, let in new ideas, keep costs in check, pointing out that collaboration with global partners often sparks leaps in technology. So you see, the tension between safety and openness, tradition and progress pulses through every mention of tariffs. One side believes these measures keep the flame of local craftsmanship alive, the other fears a slow suffocation of creative growth. And in this tug-of-war, you have a front-row seat to an emotional carnival. Part of you yearns for the comfort of self-sufficiency, and part of you bristles at the idea of missing out on the best the world has to offer. Neither sentiment is fully right or wrong, but the friction between them generates a lot of heat. So here we are, standing at the end of this winding road, a little breathless, a little wiser, and perhaps still uncertain. That's okay. The truth is, tariffs can be a good idea in 2025 if they're deployed with caution, foresight, and a clear purpose. They can shield industries that hold strategic or vital importance. They can ensure that households and businesses have the resources they need during volatile times. They can even, in measured doses, help realign trade relationships that have grown lopsided. But they can also become a double-edged sword, risking higher prices, retaliatory actions, and jarring market fluctuations that hurt the very people they're meant to protect. And as you linger in that crowded marketplace of ideas, where the aromas of opportunity mix with the pungent spices of risk, you realize that much like life itself, there's no perfect guarantee. But that's not a reason to turn away from the conversation. Quite the opposite, it's a reason to stay engaged, to question, to seek clarity, and to demand that policymakers be as strategic as possible. If you found this journey as fascinating, nerve-wracking, and full of possibility as I have, then do me a favor, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to this channel. Together, we'll keep exploring these big ideas, staying curious about the twists and turns that shape our world. After all, the story of tariffs and their potential to reshape our lives is still unfolding, and I, for one, can't wait to see where it leads. And who knows? Maybe the first thesis we started with, the notion that tariffs can be either the hero or the villain, will finally reveal its true form in the days to come. Stay tuned. And remember, the conversation doesn't end here, it's just getting started. Subscribe, share, and let's keep this train moving full steam ahead.